Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is episode 3 of the Man vs. Mood podcast. I am your host, Will, joined, as always, by my good friend, Mike.
What up?
What up, what up? We are recording on a Friday afternoon. We are looking outside, and we're happy to be joining all of you. I think this show will probably drop on Monday, so we are enjoying the beautiful weather, and I probably just kind of stole the one good thing that has happened to you since the last time recorded, but go ahead and say it anyway, Mike.
Well, I think I approached this show with a little bit more energy as compared to last time.
Absolutely. Well, last time you sound like you had a flat tire or something.
yeah, I kind of did have a flat tire. No, so things are going good. Let's see. Well, it's beautiful out, like you just said, but
it is gorgeous.
I'm looking forward to Monday, which if it's dropping on Monday, I just had lunch with a new buddy of mine and just kind of getting to know each other. So I'm excited to see where that friendship goes.
That's awesome. That's always good to make a new connection. And the good thing that has happened to me is due to it's not a new connection. It's an old connection, but I was in Safeway yesterday, and me and the butcher have been BSing for a long time. Just, hey, what's going on? He knows I like meat. And
so you're cutting the fat is what you're saying?
Exactly. Wow, well done. You're our comic relief. I'm exactly. But so we're just sitting there BSing, and he's showing me pictures. He just got a new beach house in August. Showing me pictures, he's just beaming with pride.
Why didn't I help him buy this?
Yeah, well, because it's in Lincoln City, or outside of Lincoln City.
That's okay. I can still refer him.
Yeah, right. Anyway, so we probably sat there and chatted for 10 minutes, and at the end of the 10 minutes, he offered me a weekend down at his new place, free of charge. He said, I'd love to have an extra set of eyes on the place. You and your wife and kids and whatever, if you want to go down there, I'd love to have you. So
nice.
That is an amazing thing because I absolutely love the beach. And this is down in just south of Lincoln City. And so I've got clam chowder, I've got the casino, and I've got clam chowder. So the three C's.
You should go to Gallucci's. Gallucci's pizza is really, really good.
Except
I love
that I can't eat pizza because I'm allergic to wheat.
Well, that sucks.
I'm sure they have.
I think they have gluten-free.
I'm sure they do. I've actually heard of them.
Or cauliflower, maybe.
I'm not as big on the cauliflower. Is all right. None of them are wonderful though. Have you ever been to? We'll talk pizza for just a second, but in Cannon Beach, there is a little pizza shop right on the main drag there. I think it's Hemlock, and it's called Pizza Feta.
No.
It is awesome. Even their gluten-free is awesome.
I was just down there not too long ago, and I walked by it, but
you need to go in.
Open.
Oh, they were.
I was running to go or trying to go find some coffee because it was early. So
pizza
was not on my mind.
No, but they have very good pizza there. But Lincoln City is probably my third favorite beach, but
what's your first?
My first is Long Beach just because I love Long Beach. And Cannon Beach is my favorite to go for just a couple of days because I really like the vibe in Cannon Beach. It's not quite as touristy, and you're right on the beach. Long Beach, I just have a lot of cool memories and stuff. What about you?
I do love Cannon. I love the Haystack Rock and walking that through there. I also like Pacific City.
That's north?
No, it's south. It's down towards Lincoln City. It's in between Cannon and Lincoln.
Okay.
But they have that huge sand hill. And if anybody's been down there, you know what I'm talking about. That hill is a monster to try to get up. It is literally probably, 60, 70 degree pitch to the top. And so you go one step up and slide 2 steps back.
No kidding.
Well, maybe it's 2 steps up, 1 slide back. But you get my point.
Jerry Rice would be out there doing hills for his training if I had
to stop like 20 times to go up there.
Really?
I'm a bigger guy though, but there's
how far up is it? Like 500 feet up or something?
Oh man, I have no idea.
Really?
It's a trek. I think I have a picture of it. I'll show you after
in
a little bit, but it's tough. So
the beach is a great place because it's beach time. At least I love the beach and don't have to do anything fun and exciting. Can go kick it by the beach. I don't even have to go to the beach though. Lincoln City, I have a lot of good memories because my buddies and I have been going down there we missed last year. We did do it this year, but 18 years, I believe. We've gone down every year at least one weekend for a guy's trip. We rent a house down there, and there used to be a lot more debauchery than there is now. Now it's kind of like a whole bunch of old guys that talk a big game. I'm not kidding. No one can talk a bigger game than we can.
So now it's a geriatric club. Got it.
Yeah, it used to be, go till 5 in the morning, and it was crazy. And now it's, we're at the casino and it's midnight. We better head on back because we're getting tired. So maybe not quite like that. We try to ramp up and act like we were 24 years old or 26 years old, but it's not like it used to be, though.
Well, at least you get in there for the senior special. Did they take your AARP yet?
Wow. Listen to this guy. I'm 44 years old. I'm not quite that old, Mike. Come on, you're killing me.
Older than me. That's all that matters.
That's true, and it'll always be like that. How old are you?
I just turned 43.
Shit. Year and a half.
Sorry, 24?
Yeah, right. When was your birthday? Well, you don't have to talk about it if you don't want.
Oh, no. September 4th.
Nice. Well, happy birthday. Belated birthday.
Thanks.
Mine was August 4th, so.
There you go.
Look at us. Well, today, as always, we're going to get into men's mental health and discussions around what you and I are kind of going through and what we're feeling, and then a broader scale of what guys can expect when they get into this. And one of the things that we just touched on right before we hit record was group therapy and kind of men's groups in general, and what it is like for men to be vulnerable and sit around with other guys that they don't know, not the game or anything like that. These are men that you've never met before, that you have to put yourself in a position that most men would never feel comfortable in. So you have more experience with that than I do. So I just wanted to kind of touch on that, what it's like to be able to break down those barriers with guys and know that you're in that, again, I hate cliches, but a safe environment that will not lead to a time when you're not willing to share what you need to share, is I guess what I would say.
Yeah, no, so my counselor actually introduced me to a group. None of us knew each other. Well, actually, a couple guys knew each other from doing previous groups together. But starting out initially, it's a little bit tougher with just because you don't know each other and you don't, you're trying to feel each other out and feel the dynamics.
There's always biology is never going to be removed from any of us, and there is always that dynamic in a group of men. We will establish a hierarchy, and you don't want a hierarchy in this type of situation.
Well, I don't really feel like this group has that. We all bring our unique skills to it, and I don't think anybody tries to overstep each other. But let's see, we've been meeting for I think 5 weeks now.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
weekly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, weekly. And we get together, sit around, and just kind of talk about what's been going on in our week, and what's going on at home, and just kind of expressing, just kind of opening it up like how we've done at coffee shop, and it's good because I think now that we're 5 weeks in, we know each other a little bit better, and so now it's just free flowing. Yeah. We don't have to worry about, hey, is he judging me? Is my, if I'm going to judge him, or so it's good on that aspect. And the friendships that are coming out of it are great. If I have something, or I'm feeling a little down, or I'm having a great day, I have someone I can contact if you're busy or whatever, and just kind of bounce off what's going on with me, and I'll get to hear the same thing with them.
How long do you think it took before you started to see the guys open up? Now, not necessarily, I'll ask you about you in a second, but for the other guys, as you sat back and observed them, how long did it take for you? Is it the second meeting? Were some guys maybe more engaged the first, third? What was your take on that?
For myself, it was probably the fourth meeting.
Okay.
For others, it was the first or second. I mean,
they just came in guns blazing.
Some guys are very, I don't even know the right term, but just open.
Yep.
Very social. Others are more, to themselves, reserved. And so, I think that's really kind of what helped, is we just kind of let each other get comfortable. Kind of
Yeah.
like as you introduce dogs, right? They're sniffing each other out, and then, but we don't sniff butts. But
Good.
still, they're just feeling each other out. And then as soon as they're like, hey, you're okay, I'm okay. All right, let's go play. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah. You're making sure that, I mean, honestly, that they're going to be good with what you're willing to share, and that vice versa, you're good with what they're going to share. And like you said, I mean, judgment is, I don't know that there's another word that you could use to describe that whole situation. You want to be in a judgment-free zone, but you have a lot of baggage that may be walking in there with, you don't know the situation the other guys are in, what they're bringing to the table. And if they're not willing to kind of break down that barrier with themselves, because I know that, and kind of the reason I asked the question is, I have gone into situations like that where I won't be open, or I'll put up a front or something like that. And
well, and I think like in business, the business world, like we're both in, we're already trying to compare ourselves to the next guy. So in real estate, recently we had an awards dinner at A&A, and I was sitting there watching, I got called up for a sales award, but my mind wasn't like, hey, I did good. It was, damn, why am I not up there?
Oh.
And so I was already knocking my knees down, going, shit, why am I not at that level? What's it going to take? Why can't I do that? You just, that instant negative thinking is just getting to you. So I don't even know where I was kind of going with this, but
no, but I think that that's a perfect thing to hit on.
Just comparison.
Exactly. Comparing yourself. It's important though, and this is my opinion, that we take that and we don't push it away. We help foster and not compare ourselves, but look inside and say, what can I do to get better? I had a discussion with my son about that the other day. It's not saying I got to be better than that guy or that gal. It's, I need to be better myself. And his response was, well, we're never going to be perfect. And I said, that's absolutely right. Knowing that, we look and say, how can I improve? There's got to be somewhere in my life. We're never perfect. So we can get, even if it's 0.01%, and that you get some happiness out of that. Hey, I achieved another goal. And I guess that it's goal setting that you really pull that out of yourself.
Yeah. The biggest thing that I try to take away from those meetings is I approach it with grace. I don't expect them to be perfect and have the perfect answer or the perfect response, but you just have to have grace with each other. And I think that is so missing in this world.
Oh, everything is black and white. We've nuanced the gray area, whatever name you want to give it. There are some studies that are saying that this is by design, that there are people involved in social media that are trying to create extremists. And the way you do that is to push people to the outside, to the fringes, so that the people like us that are kind of in the middle, we feel like we're a little alienated because we're not belonging to these extreme groups. But if we bring and apply critical thinking to it, we'll say that's not how life exists. Life is a constant negotiation.
Yeah.
You're negotiating with yourself or someone else at all times. If you're asking somebody for a napkin, you're negotiating with them that they're going to be willing to give you that. And
notice how it's funny if you go like to a restaurant and you order, can I have this? You ask them for that instead of just be like, I'd like to order this.
And it's
almost like you're looking for that approval in a way.
In a way, and you're also looking to give the other person respect. The server that brings you your food in society, a lot of times those people are looked down upon. You probably know people that don't believe in tips. Well,
yes, I do.
And that's one of those things where that person is working, and it's an accepted norm. I have an issue with tips at Burgerville, whereas if I go to a nice restaurant, I love to tip. If they do a fantastic job, I want to reward them because I appreciate that. It is not an easy job to serve food to a whole bunch of assholes. And customers, a lot of times, despite the customers are always right, they feel that they're above them, and that's ridiculous. You're not above anyone, and at least that's the way I look at it. I don't care if you're the president or you're bringing, you're serving people dinner. doesn't matter. We're all humans, and we deserve the respect. And that's, again, along those lines. We're losing that, and we hope to bring that back in some way. But the question is how do we do that? And that is a question that could be answered in multiple ways.
Well, I think you have to think of each other as, you came into this world with nothing. You're going to leave with nothing.
Exactly.
Just because you have money and power and status doesn't mean you're better than the person below you.
No,
and I think that's a huge play in the race card, is they've felt, or I wouldn't say they, but like people have felt very oppressed because of that stature or that status. And so I think everybody needs to just look at each other as equal, because we are.
Yeah.
We're
humans. And like I know myself, because I look different than people. I may be a white male, but when you don't have a hand, that's a visceral response that I get from people. People are used to seeing black, white, Puerto Rican, doesn't matter what it is. We see people all the time.
Right.
But to see somebody that has a deformity, especially in kids, I get to see that response to them. And I've never been one to really take offense or anything to it. I have been occasionally, because some people are just fucking rude. And those people, I've been called a mutant. All kinds of crazy things. And people think like that, especially the guy that called me a mutant, like he thought it was a good thing. And I'm like, I really don't want to be called a mutant, man. I went through a lot of shit with this. I've had 6 surgeries and all kinds of stuff. And when you see a kid that is scared because I look different, then I don't know how to react, because it's not the kid that's scared. It's the way he was brought up by his parents to react to somebody that looks different than him, or like really looks different. Oh, he has a claw for a hand. I've had people ask me if it's my foot. I'm like, no, I really don't know any foot that looks like my hand. And for those, I guess the listeners out there may not know what my hand looks like, but I have 2 fingers on my left hand. I had 5 surgeries when I was a kid between the ages of 9 and 14. And then I had a surgery to remove a staple that I had broken, I think about 10 years ago. So, it does look different for me. And it's just another day. You don't know what it would like to have 3 hands. So I don't know what it's like to have 2 hands.
Right.
I just do with it as I may, and I try to excel at whatever I do. But getting to that point where we all kind of accept each other and don't look to push somebody else down based on anything other than their actions. We don't want to push anyone down, but if somebody's attacking you or something like that, we need to stop that. But those are big questions that are not easily answered. And I guess for me, I've never really, and I think maybe it might be a little bit of a protection response on my part, but I've never looked at it like people are judging me poorly until probably about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when I really kind of took notice that, people do treat me differently. And that's on them. It's not on me. Most people that, if they're friends or I know them, they a lot of times just forget that I don't have a hand, and that can be funny.
I don't even notice.
Yeah, you don't notice, but then I have a little fun with it occasionally. I'll get what I call a tracer, people that just lock on, and it's like a tractor beam. They cannot take their eyes off my hand. And so then I become...
You ever have fun with them?
Oh, I become a soprano.
Do the pincher or something?
No. I get very, very active with my arms, and I start talking, I guess, like an Italian or something, and I'm very animated. And I just, for my own personal amusement, I guess, and maybe I'm an asshole for that, but if you're going to lock on and stare at my hand because I look so different, then I'm going to have a little bit of fun with it. I'm not going to say anything. I understand that you may not even notice that you're doing it. Yeah. But I am going to have a little bit of fun. But yeah, it's something that I'm aware of, and I can't let it stop me, and I really don't care. It's not something I think about a lot unless it becomes apparent that somebody is going to treat me differently because of my hand or something like that. And piggybacking on that discussion and opening up around a group of men, a group of women, it doesn't matter, just a group of humans to be vulnerable. want to kind of talk about what positive steps in engaging your mental health look like. And for both you and I, and for, kind of a macro look at the population out there as well. So some of the things that we even already touched on was goal setting. Getting yourself, and they can be a small goal. I mean, for me, it's
waking up in the morning.
Exactly. Wake up in the morning
bed.
and go to the gym. Doesn't mean I know that I beat the gym to death, but you're going to get used to it because it's a huge part of what can make everything in the day feel better if you're in a place that isn't great. And there are days when I walk in there and I just say, I just got to get through it. Now, I may not write it down, and it may not be this overt goal, but it is a goal to get out of there and have a workout complete.
See, I'm not a gym guy. But for me, like, my goal is in the morning before I have coffee, or even when I have coffee, sit down and just write a thing in my journal. Yeah, guys, I have a journal.
No, that's...
But, it helps getting it out of my head and onto paper, and it almost is like a relief that it's just, I don't have to deal with that right now.
It's a huge relief.
It could be a good thing. It could be, it could be about something great that's going on. It could be something about that's dragging me down, or it could just be like, hey, I don't have anything today.
And one thing that people, if they don't want to write, we all have cell phones. We all have voice recorders on those cell phones. Open up your cell phone and just talk. Let yourself go free. And no judgment. If you're locked in the bathroom, go in the back deck. Doesn't matter. Give yourself that outlet, because that is a goal that is easily achievable each and every day, even if it's for 5 minutes. Now, there's apps, there's all kinds of different ways that you can do that now in 2021. But if you set that little goal, that is a tremendous one. I'll write. I have, ManvsMood.com. I've written on that. I've written on multiple other blogs about my experiences. I wrote one on empathy and the importance of, and I'll link to it in the show notes, the importance of having empathy, and that's what we talked about earlier. So that little goal is a perfect thing for people to have. And then you work up from there. And once you start seeing that you're accomplishing those goals, then you open it up to something bigger. If it's, hey, I want to exercise more, go walk.
Yeah.
Go take 15 minutes. That's how I started on my weight loss battle. Was I didn't have some fancy gym or anything. I just got out, put my shoes on my fat feet, and I went and walked around the neighborhood.
When I was not too long ago, I think it was actually December, January. I was struggling with some stuff, and I made it a goal. I have the Apple Watch, and then I also have the fitness tracker on my phone. And so I made it a goal to get a certain amount of steps in every day. Well, then when I saw that I was hitting that, I was like, well, shoot, if I'm hitting a mile every day, I want to go for 2 miles a day.
Yep.
And so by the time I got to, like, in January, I think I did 193 miles that month just in walking.
Very nice.
I mean, I have a picture on my phone because I was like, man, my calves look pretty good right now. But
I got some great hot calves.
But my mental state improved a ton just by getting out. And I was out. It wasn't always nice. And I'd be walking in the rain, or I'd be, walking with friends, or walking with just by myself, listen to music, just throw some stuff on, or just listen to a podcast.
It is one of the best ways. And when people ask me what is a step that they can take that is easy, that will begin them down this path, that is almost the first thing I say every single time. Just getting out in the sun, it releases serotonin. The walking, that will release other positive chemicals, dopamine. That's why you feel good after you're done with it. It's vital that you just spend some time in nature. Realize that, excuse me, Mother Nature's beauty is unparalleled. I wrote that down as a note because we're so quick to let that kind of stuff pass us by. That's why I love living by the river, because I can go walk along the river. It's so important to me.
That's where I'd go, the dike.
Yeah, go wherever that brings you even more into a positive headspace.
And that's a great place to even meet other people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ton of people out walking, but invite your friends.
Yeah.
Be like, hey, I'm going for a 6-mile walk up and back. Do you want to go?
And most of the time, I don't know, I don't want to speak for anyone, but a lot of times they'll say absolutely. For me, we take the dogs out for a walk every night, and I try to get down there, but now it's getting dark earlier. So I walk around the neighborhood, but it's an opportunity. My youngest son will come with me, and sometimes my wife comes, sometimes she doesn't, but it's an opportunity for he and I to talk, just dad and son talk.
And that's building your support system.
Exactly. And that's helping him because he asks me crazy off the wall questions. We were talking about blackjack the other night because I was talking about the importance of understanding probabilities in life for risk assessment.
I know someone that's really good at that.
Really?
Yeah. She is amazing at it.
She counts cards.
No, she doesn't.
Of course she does. Because there's only one way to beat that game.
Well, she doesn't win 100% of the time. So, but she's
60% of the time she wins every time.
Pretty darn good. So
really,
yeah,
we might have to go up to A then because I'm a fan of every once in a while getting up and doing a little gambling. Actually.
Anyway, back to your
back
story with
to
your
that.
son.
No, I just getting out there with him and having the opportunity to see how he's doing. Check in with him. And I mean, we walk the dogs every night, and it's an opportunity for me to get a little more work in. A little more physical activity that's kind of chill, not on the dumb treadmill because that's
so boring.
I feel like a rat. It does give me an opportunity to watch all my documentaries, which I am a big fan of documentaries. And so there's always, if you want to watch a crazy documentary, I'm going to drop this on you right now. Operation Odessa. I think Netflix actually just took it off, but if you can find Operation Odessa, it's about the CIA, FBI, and for some reason I really like to watch drug dealer movies or documentaries. And these guys were part of a cartel that had purchased a submarine to smuggle cocaine in, but it has the funniest characters. I mean, right out of Central Casting. One of them's this crazy, I think he's a Russian guy, and he's just bombastic. And then you've got the suave Colombian that looks exactly like you would think a suave Colombian would look. It's an incredible documentary. So if you got an hour and a half and I probably watched it 5 times.
Wow.
It's incredible. Anyway, so
that's dedication right there.
I really enjoy documentaries.
Don't ask me how many times I've seen Jurassic Park. My best friend Jeff, he knows how many times.
You've watched Jurassic Park a lot?
Oh man, I think I'm up to 40 some odd times.
Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Okay, hold on. We need to unpack your love of Jurassic.
Let's
are we
just
talking
move
the
on to
first one, or are we talking about all of them?
Well, I grew up. I wanted to be a paleontologist.
Okay.
So I loved the dinosaurs.
And
then
something you learned about Mike. That is amazing.
Every so often, I'll do like let's watch Jurassic Park 1, 2, 3, and 15.
That is incredible. And I'm sure your kids watch it with you.
No,
and
they avoid it.
They avoid it?
Yeah.
So
they've seen it one time, and they're like, okay, that's good.
Well, I think that I would probably be along the same lines, although I have seen Jurassic Park a number of times. The movie, though, that I have seen the most in my life is Christmas Vacation.
Oh, that's a classic. You got to watch that every Christmas.
I watch, in our family, we watch it on Thanksgiving because it's the official kickoff of Christmas season.
There you go. And
then we watch it again on Christmas Eve. So, and we might watch it on Christmas Day, too.
Wow. Because
I have a dedication to that movie. I mean, I'm the guy that you don't want to watch it with because I'll damn near repeat the whole movie. And so that's definitely a highlight. And then, you've got the Anchormans and Step Brothers is hands down the most underrated film of all time, in my opinion. Now, I want everyone to know that I am an intelligent person and I don't find stupid comedy to be highbrow comedy, but there is a genius in being able to do Dumb and Dumber or, like I said, Step Brothers.
That's a great way to just get some support people. Will Ferrell fans be like, hey, we're gonna have a movie night,
right?
You can meet people that way too.
That's exactly right. Well, as we move on, you just touched on it, support. Finding a support network, because when depression, anxiety, and these things start to creep into our life, we start to cut those relationships around us that are some of the most meaningful. We become a shell of our former self, and we stop interacting with people. I know that I have done this. It is something that has probably been one of when I was going through everything earlier this year and the late last year after I got fired and all kinds of stuff. I mean, we had COVID and it was just stacked on deck, and I was in a bad place, and I didn't do that. I didn't reach out to my support network and really try to engage them in positive, just have a cup of coffee. And that's when
that's why I reached out to you, because a lot of times, I'm speaking for myself, I don't want to talk to anybody when I'm in that place. Yep. I'm like, I want to isolate. I want to watch, sit on the couch, eat bonbons and cry. No, not really cry, but you know what I mean? You just want to stay away from people. You're like, I don't want to give my mood to somebody else.
And you feel like you're burdening them.
Exactly.
And that's the one thing that, as we try to break down these barriers, it's important to remember that if somebody is your friend, it's kind of like marriage. It's thick and thin. Mm-hmm. And when the shit goes down, they'd better be ready, because you're ready for them. Now, it's really hard to have a support network that is so big that I got 40 friends. BS. No one has 40 friends. You have 40 acquaintances. I have thousands of acquaintances.
Right.
But locked down, solid, 3 o'clock in the morning, you got, it hits the fan and you need somebody. I mean, it's really hard to have more than one. Mm-hmm. Because you have to be emotionally invested, and it's hard to, if you have a family, especially work, all of that, manage that many relationships that allow that type of vulnerability and understanding of each other.
I don't think it's impossible, because I'd say I have about a handful of people that I could call.
Yeah, and I think a handful, and everyone's different. Absolutely.
I'd like to go deeper with my friendships instead of wider.
Yeah.
Because you can't, you only have so much time in a day and so much bandwidth. So, as I've gotten older, I'm like, man, I know who they are, but I wouldn't call them a friend, and so the ones that I hold really close are the ones that know me to that depth.
Yep. And that's, you and me, and I have, again, a handful of guys that, and I've really started to try to cultivate that in the last 6 months, bring in more heavy discussion to when we meet. Because a lot of times business has been, I've been around the business world for 25 years now and worked on my own. And so I have knowledge that I want to share with people. But when you're talking about business, it's inevitable that life is going to creep in there. Well, then I meet these, or not meet, I know these people that they are letting on to something that's happening. And so it will foster an open discussion, because I try to be a trustworthy and open person. And if I'm vulnerable, I show them first that my heart's on my sleeve, and I'm not trying to, put everything on them, but we're talking about something that is deeper than what the score of the, football game was last night.
Or the Blazers.
We don't have to talk about the Blazers yet, man. Okay. They don't start until the end of the month. So it's all preseason, and Dame's going to bring us a championship someday.
Yeah. So anyways, moving on, you just alluded to it, but having other people to talk to would be a great coping skill, instead of turning to the bottle or the powder, or, having coping skills like that are much better. Healthy ones. Healthy
coping skills. And I just actually left my first appointment with my new counselor, and coping skills are a huge part of dealing with all of these things, and learning what coping skills look like, because they're all different for all of us. And I said to my counselor, I said, it used to be back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and into the 90s that society forced you, because it was normal for dad to go out to the bar after work or come home and have 3 fingers of Glenlivet. That was normal, because he didn't deal with his problems. He drank his problems.
Right.
And now we're seeing a crack in that, and we're trying to open ourselves up to these new experiences that don't involve a substance or something of substance that is important. Like Yeah, just going to a ball game. You can go to a ball game and have a beer.
Yeah.
And not get shit-faced and not remember the evening. And that's what, I know when I was younger, that's what it would be. The goal was to get as fucked up as possible, and then the game or whatever was just the reason to do it. And I quickly understood, especially having an alcoholic father, that, okay, this is not healthy, and this is going to lead down a path that will not be good for me or anyone around me.
So what are some of your good coping skills now?
Well, we've touched on the gym.
You talked about the gym.
I've really gotten into photography.
Really?
Yeah. So whether it's just with my iPhone or it's I have a camera that I bought. I actually won $500 on a lottery ticket once, and so I took the $500 and I went to Costco, and they had one of their camera packages. So I bought this kind of starter pack that had a couple of lenses and whatnot, and kind of getting back to the outdoors and whatnot. I just will throw my camera in the car and start taking pictures. I love the gorge. The gorge is probably my favorite place to, if I really need to kind of clear the head and get into a better frame of mind, even if it's just going to the Port of Camas and Washougal and walking that path a couple of times. But I love to go to Stevenson, love to hit.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area.
Oh, it's so gorgeous.
So picturesque.
It really is.
Across the river.
It's incredible. And so, photography. I love doing this. I'm a nerd. So deep down, I like to learn. I really like to read a lot.
We know you like documentaries.
Yes, I love documentaries, but I don't watch a lot of TV. I do like sports, and I'll watch that, but by and large, I don't watch a lot of television. So I'll when I'm on the treadmill, it just keeps my mind off the rat race there. But that's those are some really, and music. I listen to a lot of music and a wide range. In fact, shout out Zac Brown Band. They just dropped their new album today, and I'm about halfway through it, and it's pretty dang good. So,
nice.
But everything from Zac Brown Band to Travis Scott, Migos. So I'm old school hip hop. I'm country music, Merle Haggard, everything. I like it all. So I played in the band for 9 years, I think, 9 or 10 years. So I love classical music, Frank Sinatra, all that kind of stuff. So
nice.
And music is how I also help process things.
And it's funny because I remember doing homework when I was in high school or even early college. I would put on classical music because it helped me focus and study for some reason. It was interesting.
I always listened to, my mom never knew how I could do it. I always studied, and I actually kind of learned why that is. I did a leadership, it was a retreat for a week when I was 21, put on by the Rotary. And one of the things that they taught us there is that each of us needs every single day time to ourselves for our brain to essentially take from the top level thinking or memory and put it into our subconscious thinking or memory, or deep kind of memory banks. And we have a catalyst for that. And everyone is different. My catalyst is music. Some people it's painting. Some people, but we will do it every single day. And one of the things that you'll notice if you don't have the ability to do this is you'll become irritable after 3 or 4 days. So if you're in a group setting, like you go on vacation with the family to Disneyland and you just, other than the shower, you're with people the entire time, you'll notice that a day 3, 4, or 5, day 3 or 4, typically people's will be more kind of on edge and things like that. And that's because we haven't had the opportunity to drop our subconscious memory into that deep memory. It's from the top level memory into the deep memory is what it is. And that's the number one thing I took from that whole retreat was knowing how to trigger that in yourself. And that's why I'll just go turn on the radio or turn on my headphones and just go. And you stop thinking, and you're you know how you do that when you're driving somewhere and you blink and you're like, how the hell did I get here?
25 miles just passed by and you're like, what happened?
How the hell did it happen? Yeah. So that's one of those things. What about you?
And you can do that, put headphones on and go out and walk. See,
yeah,
you're
and
killing
that's
2 birds with 1 stone.
Yeah. And that's what I do. If I feel like I haven't gotten that, I've really tried to be in tune with that. and I'll do that. I do it in the car a lot as well, and not podcasts, because I focus on that. It has to be music. That way I'm not trying to listen to what somebody is saying. I'm just hearing something.
Right.
What's something that you do?
Well, walking is a big one. Geez, I'm trying to think. Just had a brain fart. Well, watching sports, so TV a little bit, but I wouldn't say that's like super healthy. But journaling for sure. I like to journal. I like to get all my thoughts out. I have some bad ones, but we're not focused on the bad ones. We're looking at what the good ones are. So meditation, definitely.
Do you use an app or do you?
I did. I used the Calm app.
Okay. Yep.
But I don't feel like I was getting too much out of it. So actually, I would put on meditation podcasts and kind of listen to those, and those were interesting.
Like ASMR or other meditation? Are you familiar with ASMR?
No, I don't know. Remember what they were, but
ASMR is where they have like really quiet and they
it was kind of like that. Yeah. But for other physical things, I love shooting. It's hunting season. Mm-hmm. I love to get in the woods. Yep. I feel more grounded when I'm out there. Going to the coast, I love to travel. So I guess that would be a really healthy one. Expensive, could be expensive, but definitely.
What's the coolest place you've ever traveled to?
Australia.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really? Whereabouts?
Went to Sydney, Australia for a week, and then Cairns. I think I'm saying that right. It's on the North Gold Coast.
Okay.
So up by the Great Barrier Reef. Mm-hmm. If you ever get a chance to go snorkeling on the Great Barrier Reef, it is amazing.
Wow, that sounds
so
incredible.
Many colors.
How many countries have you been in?
Does
how many pages? Count? No, countries.
No. Let's see: Australia, Mexico, Jamaica. I haven't even been to Canada. So
really,
yeah. I think just those.
Canada is awesome. I've only been to Mexico and Canada, but Canada is. I mean, it's a lot like the Northwest, and I've only been to the western part of Canada. I've never been to Toronto or anything, but BC is one of my favorite places to go because we rented a houseboat up on a place called Lake Shuswap.
Do they say A there a lot?
Oh, take off, eh? No, they don't talk like that. I talk like that. I love it. Because I have this weird
They're
ability.
Probably thinking stupid American.
Well, I can change into accents. So, like, if I go back east, within a couple of hours, I can have a full-fledged New York accent. And when I go to Canada, I just have to listen to it. It's like an immersion thing. And after half a day in Canada, good enough that I could probably trick you into thinking I was Canadian. Because there's just little things about the way they say, different words that you have to pick up. You can't sound like you're talking from Strange Brew, eh? Take off, you hoser. You betcha. But then you got to know if you're from
Minnesota.
Yeah, I was just going to say, you don't know if you're from Minnesota, if you're from Canada. So,
yep.
Anyway, any other coping skills that are healthy that you like to use?
Those are the big ones.
Big ones. Another one that I had was interacting with people. I know it's not so much a coping skill, but this.
That's more like an activity, I would say.
Yeah, but for me, it is because with COVID and everything, it became the norm to be away from people and to be secluded. You have your family, but you're away from them. Like family's gone during the day or whatever. Then I'm by myself. So getting to be able to connect with another person, not digitally, is especially when you're in lockdown. I mean, it felt like going to Safeway was cool because you saw another human. Yeah. So those are.
Is that where you would go talk to your?
Yeah, my meat man. I was so cool that he did that. It just blew me away. He's like, we didn't even know each other's names. I mean, no joke. We've been talking for years. Just totally.
How awkward was that? Where you're like, hey, I don't know your name. But
no, I introduced myself.
He does wear a name badge, right? He does wear a name
badge. Yeah, because he's a butcher, he always had his coat on.
No, that's true.
And so as soon as he said that, I said, well, my name's Will. He's like, his name, and took off from there.
You don't want to say the butcher man's name?
The butcher man, Ross. Ross the butcher.
There you go.
Ross the butcher
if
is a
anybody
really
wants
cool
a big
guy.
steak, go to Ross the butcher.
It's Safeway in Washougal, Washington. The other things that, as we continue down the path of positive steps when you're, engaging with your mental health, is just decisions. Decisions when you're having mental health crisis can feel overwhelming at times. And I think that, we've kind of touched some things that can help with that, but really trying to break down decisions, if that means you have to delay a decision until
Especially
you're
a big one.
Exactly, until you're in a better frame of mind. That's something that, especially as our lives are flashing by us faster and faster, we get into this hurry up. We have this anxiety that we're going to miss it. FOMO is a perfect
instant gratification.
Yeah, that as well. So, thinking about things more than reacting to them, even though life is a tremendous amount of it is about reaction. When we are in control of what we can control, we need to make sure that we're making the best decision for ourselves and for those that we care about. And that can be something when we're not in the right headspace that can be a challenge, because outside influences are affecting with an A, what it is we're trying to do, what the meaning of the decision is. Not like, going out to dinner or something, which can be a struggle. Don't get me wrong. I mean, anyone that's been married knows that one of the biggest struggles any family has is, what do you want to have for dinner?
Try going out to eat with babies or little kids.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, that's a circus act in itself.
I've never gotten a worse stink eye than at Baja Fresh when my youngest son was probably 2, and he was a full combat eater, and he just wiped the entire table off. I mean, just went apeshit, and food was everywhere. And I'm not the one that's be like, hey, get over here and clean this shit up. I was trying to actively, but I mean, it was like he just put his hand and he just windshield wiped the entire table, all the food everywhere. And what do you do? I can't get mad. He's 2 years old. I mean, or maybe he was even younger, like just a year or something. But the stink eye that I got from the manager, because of course it's like 6 o'clock on a Friday or something when everyone and their uncle's in there. But I was like, we really need to help these people. And I mean, but yeah, that was, I know exactly, I feel your pain. And that's why people that have kids when they're 40 years old, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah. Instead of being that person that's giving the stink eye, go, hey, I've been there. I know what you're going through.
Absolutely. Or, and
even that'll definitely release some of their anxieties of what just happened,
Well, you see the kid freak out at the grocery store or something like that, and the mom is, you have some parents that just let the kids go wild, but most parents will try to, get little Tommy or Susie to calm down, and how embarrassing it is because you've been there, you've had the kid freak out because he didn't get fruit dip or something like that, and you're like, you cut him some slack because a Karen's walking the other way, and you got your kid up, and it's like, again, this is a human I cannot communicate with. So cut me a little slack here.
Yeah, because they're not making good decisions at that time.
No, and that's again dealing with pressures and things like that. But
that's a good point. On making decisions, if you are in a bad mood or if you're angry, especially if something just happened. So, for example, today, I was pissed because my son got sent home from school because he had a slight cough.
Oh,
and with everybody uber sensitive to COVID right now.
Yeah.
If you have any symptom, you go home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he got COVID tested. He was negative. Has allergies. So
we still live. We still have colds. They're still around,
so
and everyone's.
I took a good probably hour before I called the principal to voice my frustrations.
Perfect.
Because I almost went off on the health room lady today.
And that's easy.
Yeah.
And they're just following the rules.
I know.
They're following what the
but it's a buildup of
yep.
all last year with the kids being home and not being. we're forced to be teachers when we're not teachers, and just the frustration. I'm going, he's not learning anything being at home. So, anyways,
I had
to take an hour to 2 hours to calm myself, to make a rational decision instead of light this principal up for them just following the rules, what the health department said. But by doing that, I was able to have a nice conversation with him. He understood my frustration, and we made a plan for him to get back to school on Monday.
Well, see, that's awesome. Now, I had the exact same thing happen with not as great an outcome. About a month ago, my son got pulled out of class at 5th period, handed a piece of paper, and told to leave the school. We were never contacted. Now, he's 15 years old, and he has a cell phone, but the school never communicated with us that they were sending our child away from the school. I was not happy about that, and neither was my wife, because COVID removed from the whole situation. You told my son that he had to leave, and you didn't let us, the parent, know. Even if he said, I'll call my parents. I think that the school needs to at least touch base with us and let us know that our child is leaving the premises on their direction. And there was no other type of communication.
Such a huge liability for them.
I was very surprised.
That's shocking.
I understand. That's the way I was. Like, if he would have punched somebody, I'm certain that you would have contacted me. If he would have taken a crap in the middle of the gymnasium, you'd have contacted me. But because he sat next to somebody on a bus, he's forced out of the school with a piece of paper and no guidance on schoolwork, football, nothing.
That was my complaint.
One piece of paper, adios, and because we're scared. And I'm like, this isn't how kids, because he's scared. He wasn't scared, but he was like, and I was actually in an appointment at the time. My wife is at work, and it's, how are we supposed to deal with this if we don't know that the school is not communicating with us what the plan is? Yeah, the plan was on the paper, but I don't know. When my kid's sent home from school, I want to talk to an adult about it.
So did you delay your response, or did you?
I went and because it was actually, by the time I got there, school was already out. He had to sit for like an hour and a half outside of school. And by the time I got there, everyone had closed up shop because it was like 3:05 or something.
So you were forced to take a break.
Yes. But
that's probably a good thing.
Those types of situations, being in real estate, all of that, I prepare myself for what is inevitably a tough discussion with anyone. Mm-hmm. I wasn't mad about the COVID thing. Again, the nurse, the school, they're following what the district or the state or whatever lays out. I can't be upset with them about that. But I was upset about them being out of school. And after some runaround, my wife actually got a hold of the nurse, and we're like, hey, you can't send our son out of the school. I mean, he was sitting on the side of the road.
Right.
For an hour and a half or 2 hours or whatever it was. And it's like, let's have a little more communication. But the nurse was not prepared for any of it. See, the problem is that my wife is a registered nurse that talks to the CDC about everything revolving around COVID because she runs the cardiology clinic. So the nurse couldn't buffalo her with her canned responses. And so when my wife started coming back with some like actual knowledge, it flustered her. But everything ended up just fine, and no yelling or anything, and we don't need that. There's no reason for that. But don't send my kid away from school, please.
Yeah. So decisions, we're just saying what we do is we try, we're human, but we try to delay that response because we don't want to we don't want to react
exactly
in a negative manner.
Exactly. And let our emotions control or drive what our response is going to be. Emotion absolutely go into the decision, but we don't want it to be the driving factor, because if we're letting emotion solve our problems, then we're usually not going to be solving the problems very well, because our emotions don't always know what's right for us.
Yeah.
And we've got to bring that, again, critical thinking into it and understanding what the situation is so that we can make that good decision. Are you a fan of mantras or kind of positive talk, that kind of thing? Like when you get up in the morning, hey,
I have one.
I am wonderful.
It's the Serenity Prayer.
Yeah. Not Serenity Now by Costanza. Serenity Now.
No.
You didn't watch Seinfeld, did you?
No. It's actually, I've heard it because somebody said it and it was taken from AA.
Oh, okay.
It was an AA Serenity Prayer. But, you know, it's the biggest thing is, let me find it real quick. Sorry for the dead air. We don't want dead air. I'm struggling. Sorry.
No,
why don't you talk about activities?
Yeah, the activities, you know, we talk about working out and things like that, but activities that involve either yourself, and that can be the journaling and things like that, but activities typically that we want to see to move into a positive headspace is something that's fun. And it doesn't have to involve money or anything like that. It could be just go throw the ball around with your son. Go toss the ball for your dog. I mean, a dog is or an animal or just something else that even if they can be great listeners, even if they don't speak English or they, speak at all.
Oh, they're huge, especially my dog when she was still alive. She was such a huge emotional support.
Right. I mean, you just
she'd been with me through a lot, and she was probably, if you're religious or not, I don't know, but for me, she was like God on earth in a way because she was always there. Whether I had a bad day, whether I just yelled at her because she tore something up, or she was always happy to see me every time I walked in the door. So, that's one of the huge aspects that I love about a dog is they're there.
They're there for us through thick and thin.
Sometimes there are some dogs that are assholes, but most dogs are pretty good.
What's an asshole dog?
The ones that growls at you, that's just very standoffish, that gives you the side eye, that just doesn't want to be around you.
Yeah.
Like,
and there are dogs like
touch
that.
Me. And a lot of that comes from, where people have abused them. But
see, I think of cats that way.
I found the Serenity Prayer.
Okay.
It says, God, grant me the power to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
That's awesome.
So that's why I try to approach every day. Granted, I'm not very good at it, but...
No, it's not that you're not good at it. It's that you're getting better at it.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's the way you got to frame that, because we're moving forward and looking into it. But that kind of wraps and you can see why they use it in the 12-step program, because it kind of wraps the entire situation up into a little bit of a nice package that is easily consumable, and you can read that and accept it and know that you can work forward in whatever it is the challenge of that day. The one thing I would like to say, though, is that especially on social media, if you subscribe to any type of self-help and things like that, a lot of times you'll get all of these positive mantras. They'll hit your feed and they're over and over. And even if you're talking about it, because the phone's always listening, you have to remember that you want to always be positive, but you don't want to out positive your whole life, because that will set you up for failure. If you're set on, I'm going to do great, I'm the best, I'm this, and then you don't accomplish that goal, it can set you up for, some kind of negative self-feedback. And so you want to be careful of and take them with a grain of salt, because, what Gandhi says is wonderful, but it doesn't apply to all of us at all times. So I think that it's just remember that you've got to, we're not going to make bad things always go away. We're just trying to make the positives outweigh the bad. And when the bad comes up, we're prepared for it. That's, I guess, the best way. We've got we were talking about the last show, the tool belt. Mm-hmm. It's just another thing in our tool belt so that we can deal with the negative that is in front of us.
Well, and that's what today is pretty much all about, is all the different tools that we use.
Exactly. And, we were talking about interacting with people. I forgot to mention that it's cathartic to talk to somebody. That's healing. And when we're breaking down and being vulnerable, and I don't mean break down like crying. I mean like breaking down what our problems might be of that, even that day. Like the guy flipped me off, after I cut him off because he was driving too slow. Wait, no, that wouldn't be the right one. I kid. But no, those are, those types of things are ways that we can help ourselves build a little bit more of a foundation for the house that ultimately will be, a good solid person at the end of the day.
Right. And if you're talking to somebody else, or even if you're just writing on a piece of paper, getting it out of your head is the biggest thing.
Yep. And the last one that I wanted to touch on was count your blessings. Know what is going good in your life.
What are you grateful for today?
Exactly. I'm grateful for? I mean, you said it earlier, but the sun. I know it sounds cliche and dumb, but I love the fall October days. I get to wear a sweatshirt and my sunglasses. I mean, that's high times right there for me. It is. It may be kind of ridiculous, but it is something that for me is a blessing because we live in such a beautiful area that, I mean, earlier today, I just stopped by the Columbia and I just looked at it for like 3 minutes. No joke.
You know, it's a really nice place to just kind of hang out, and it's not even a bad walk, is the new Washougal Port.
That's where I was.
Camas.
Yeah, that's where I was. Port of Camas, Washougal, that little dead end where you park down there.
Yep.
I just got out and I looked at Mount Hood. I didn't take a picture or anything. I just looked up the gorge. And I may not even been 3 minutes. It was just 2. But I said to myself as I was heading out to Highway 14, I'm going to stop and I'm going to go look at how beautiful the gorge looks. And I did that and I hopped back in my car and off I went to Vancouver.
You know, the funny thing is we were, when we were sitting here before we started the show, I was going, God, what good has happened to me in the day? And it's so hard for us to focus on the good, or at least for myself, that, when it's very easy to find the bad and the negative things, but for the good stuff, it's tougher. So doing like what am I grateful for today or this hour or, check-in in a way, I think that would also help your mental clarity.
Oh, it helped. Because we forget things like that. We forget to do those things because our brains may be clouded with whatever negative thing is happening or, just depression. Yeah. It doesn't have to mean that something bad happened to you, that you're in a funk. You could just wake up in a funk and need a way to help. It's not that you're going to snap out of it either, but you can improve the mood that you're in order to feel a little bit better. And those are, it's so important to understand the blessings, the little things. People could say, oh, it must suck not. I mean, people do say it must suck not to have a hand. I'm like, well, I'm really happy to have the other one.
Well, it must suck to have a shitty attitude.
Yeah, exactly. And, and I said it earlier, but I don't know what it's like, so I'm not missing anything. Yeah, I mean, there are things like using scissors with my left hand. And my mom always told me that I used my left hand a lot when I was a baby, and my dad and my brother are both left-handed. So it's high likelihood I was left-handed, and I had to train myself to be right-handed. But my entire life, I've tried to have this outlook that it doesn't stop me. It just makes me work a little bit harder. But I'm not afraid of that. And now it's almost to the point where I have to be aware of it so that I don't. I'm not afraid to ask somebody for help when I need it, because that's something that I struggle with, is asking for help, and that's kind of what this is all about. So,
well, it's kind of like, it sounds like you're talking about knowing your limitations.
Yeah, absolutely. Know my limitations, and I mean, we all have to know our limitations.
A lot of people don't.
No, we don't. And
sometimes I don't.
Well, I think it's really hard because boundaries, all those types of things go into knowing your limitations, because you got to set up healthy boundaries in order to know you're not operating outside of your limitations.
Well, and speaking of that, sometimes you have to set healthy boundaries between you and somebody else.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of that plays into, a lot of relationships play into, our mental state as well.
Absolutely. Kids, spouses, all of it. We all have to have our own areas that we operate in free of them. And then we integrate them into the rest of our lives. But we still need to be individuals, and we don't want to control anyone. Well, Mike, we've already gone over an hour.
Wow.
And it just flew by, as they always do.
So are we doing episode 4 right after this?
We got to make a decision on that. We'll take a little time.
Yeah.
No, anything that you want to, kind of as we wrap it up, anything that you want to highlight? What do you got going on this weekend? Anything exciting? Seahawks? Okay, let's do a Seahawks.
It's opening weekend for hunting.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Deer.
Yeah,
Rifle.
for deer, rifle. I don't bow hunt, but I like to sit in my truck and drive around. It's easier that way. If you're against hunting, I'm sorry.
Why would you be against hunting?
I love looking at deer. I have them come in the yard all the time, eating out of the apple tree, and I won't shoot them.
No,
but they taste so good, so good, especially the jerky and stuff like that. But anyways, it's hunting season, so I'm looking forward to that.
That's going to be fun. We actually got invited to the Columbia Sportswear employee store, so we're going to be going to that and might pick up a new jacket. And
you should get some snowshoes because I have some. And once
snowshoeing is awesome.
Oh, that was one of my favorites. So my girlfriend introduced me to snowshoeing. So amazing.
It is. So we did it as a
hell of a workout. Though.
Oh yeah, no, we went, and we'll make this quick, but we went as a family, bought a package up on Mount Hood. We're all geared up to the max. It's 25 degrees. We were shedding shit left and right. I'm out there in a t-shirt. I damn near had my tank top on because we're humping up this hill and just, and I mean, it was amazing. I love it. And so yes, absolutely. Actually, Costco, I bet, will have their snowshoes on sale here very soon, and I'll pick up a pair. You
can find some good ones on Amazon too. Be sure you get the right size.
Yes. No,
because when I went one time with some friends up, I can't remember what it was. It was like a midnight one up towards.
Oh, a night one.
Oh, it was amazing. But my snowshoes were about the size of my feet, and I'm falling in holes, and I'm just like, this sucks. So I bought some bigger ones, and it was so much easier.
It is. So highlight of this show is that
let's make a group, a snowshoeing group.
Yeah, that would be sweet. That absolutely. Let's jump into the ManvsMood Facebook group. If you're in the Clark County, Washington area, hit us up and come. Probably December, there'll be plenty of snow up there, and we'll get up to government camp and do that. It would be cool to stay up there.
Trillium would be nice, too.
Trillium is one of my absolute... That's the picture in there, isn't it? Is that Trillium?
I don't know which one you're talking about.
Okay. After the show, I'll tell you. But Trillium is absolutely one of my favorite places to camp. All of it. I love Trillium. So, well, with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you guys for listening. Again, we'll hit you with the socials. At ManvsMood, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I'm One Hand Man on Twitter, and you are on Instagram.
Mike B, the real one.
The real one. Hit him up for all your real estate needs in the greater Southwest Washington area. With that, we gone.